This morning. I have a very special guest here this morning. We're just getting live on Facebook right now. We have the one, the only, my long-term friend from Washington, D.C. and South Carolina, the one and only Representative Joe Wilson. How are you doing this morning, Joe?
And I'm doing great because I'm with you, and I want to send greetings to everyone in Emerald City and all of the surrounding communities. I bet there are even people in Georgia who listen to you.
Oh, absolutely. And people listen on the stream all the time. And we've got people coming right in on Facebook, too. So we're getting them from all angles here today, Joe. That's what I like.
Well, you make a difference, and to me, and talk radio has just been the basis of maintaining some level of fair and balance. And it's so sad. I was editor to my high school, college, law school newspaper. I was a reporter for the Post and Courier in Charleston before I went to law school, and it's just so disappointing to me to see print media become so biased, and then equally, but even worse, broadcasting media to be so biased. And I was really encouraged a couple of months ago. It was reported that in the second Trump administration, that the negative media by the legacy media, or whatever you want to call them, that it was only 93% negative. And I thought, God, that's an improvement. Because, and can you believe in the first term, it was 96% negative. And then, but then sadly, the latest report is it's 97% negative. And that's really sad to me because the American people deserve better. And that's where you and talk radio come in.
Well, thank you. I try to make sure we're covering all the bases, and I like to give people the opportunity to talk, which when you look at a lot of it, they want to cut you off before they let you say anything, which has to be frustrating for someone like you when you go on media.
Well, I'm just grateful to, again, for your success and the success of talk radio, and I just cherish your program and others that enable the American people to hear the mainstream, I call it Reaganite conservative movement, but I have to acknowledge I actually predate that. I was a Goldwaterite, and so I'm really grateful that I've had the opportunity to see the implementation of very positive policies of limited government, expanded freedom, and peace through strength, which is the basis of what Barry Goldwater, what Ronald Reagan, and Donald Trump, I believe, are achieving.
Oh, well, that's right. Well, you sit in such a unique position when it comes to defense and foreign policy. You, of course, are on key committees dealing with national security and foreign affairs. As we're talking this morning, how close do you believe we really are to stability with Iran?
I'm really very, very encouraged. The stability with Iran, ironically, is due to the destruction of their Navy, the destruction of their Air Force, the destruction of their air defense systems, their destruction provided by Russia. The Chinese radars now have been destroyed. And so if there's my hope is that for the people of Iran, we know that in the past, and we're talking about Persia, the heritage of a great society. And so I'm really so counting on the people of Iran to stand up to the murdering mullahs who have seized control of their country. And so I'm very, very encouraged. And then there's a personal side to this. I'm grateful that I served 31 years in the Army Guard, but my oldest son, Alan, your Attorney General, served for a year, field artillery in Iraq. It received a combat action badge, and so we worked to liberate that country. And then my second son, Ed, is a doctor in the Navy who served in Baghdad in Iraq. And then my third son is a signal officer who served in Egypt to face the Hamas terrorists of Iran. And then my youngest son served for a year, engineer, with different units of Edgefield and Greenwood in Afghanistan. And so our family has been engaged in I believe, the global war on terrorism, but now another war we did not choose, and that is war criminal Putin collaborating with the Chinese Communist Party and the mullahs of Iran. And what extraordinary opportunity we have to show the people of Russia and show the people of China that there can be a free and open society.
Yeah, I know, and that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about. But I just worry that this pause, this potential ceasefire, could just be a opportunity for them to rearm or amp back up. Do you really think that this temporary ceasefire, do you think the Strait of Hormuz, I mean, it's supposed to be open, but there sure isn't very great flow going through there right now?
And Ann, you're very, very perceptive and correct. It is a time for them to regroup, rearm, for the war criminal Putin to provide military capability. But the good news is it's very, very brief. And that's why the president made it brief. And then indeed, we see the disingenuous control of the Hormuz Strait. But I always like to point out about Donald Trump, he really wants to have peace. He tried to negotiate with Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea, and he found out that the dictator was not of this world. And then he tried to negotiate with Maduro, the dictator of Venezuela. And when he figured out that he couldn't work with him, it's really incredible and so inspiring to me that he had the intestinal fortitude and then the professionalism of our military and to go into Caracas, Venezuela. I actually had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago, and it was significant to the Greenwood area. I called the president to thank him for the emergency declaration about the impending ice storm. Thank God it was not as bad as it was. But that day, and I visited with the Emergency Preparedness Division while I was there. Everybody was military was so happy of the success of the capture of the Maduro dictator. And they pointed out how incredible that it proved that the Russian air defense was not successful, that the Chinese radar didn't work, and that the Cuban mercenaries were expendable. And so over and over again, and in our hemisphere, and immediately, virtually every country in Latin America came to support the American initiative. And traditionally, and you and I know, they've always resented the big brother intruding. This time they welcomed it. And then, incredibly, again, what President Trump is doing, he has unified all of the Arab countries, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Jordan, Syria. He has unified all of them in supporting our efforts to stop the ability of Iran to have a nuclear capability. And so the unintended consequences against our enemies, and really one of the most ultimate unintended consequences that has occurred is that war criminal Putin, when he invaded Ukraine, immediately that caused Sweden and Finland to give up 200 years of neutrality. And Finland was at one time, just in the last century, a province of the Russian Empire. But the bottom line, I am very, very encouraged to see around the world that countries are coming together, and we have a president with the intestinal fortitude. And bottom line, hey, back to Iran. We need to be serious. Iran has been at war with America for 47 years.
Right.
They proclaimed death. They proclaimed death to America and death to Israel. They announced that we're the great Satan and Israel is the small Satan.
So the bottom.
So people need to know we're finally responding to people. Donald Trump didn't start the war. He's going to stop it.
I know. But a lot of people are asking, though, Joe, can Iran be trusted at all in a situation like this? Are we really going to be able to get the uranium away from them? Are they really going to conform, or are we just going to be back at this and keep going forth? I know you have your sons in the military and everything. Nobody wants to put boots on the ground, but do you think that's a possibility if we don't get this ceasefire done? And of course, J.D. Vance is over there tomorrow. They're going to start meeting. But we've seen this playbook so many times.
And the playbook is this: President Trump indeed wants peace through strength, and he will negotiate and negotiate and negotiate. Sadly, to me, the negotiations, obviously, with war criminal Putin, everything there has been simply to regroup and for Russia to attack and kill more Ukrainian civilians. But the bottom line is, ultimately, the president comes to a conclusion, as he did with the capture of the dictator in Venezuela. And as we see, initially the president tried to destroy the nuclear capability of Iran. But when he found out, and people need to put this in context, that they were negotiating with Iran with Steve Witkoff, his envoy, and Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, negotiating with Iran. During the negotiations, the Iranians announced that they had the capability of actually producing 11 nuclear bombs.
Correct.
Once President Trump found that out, he knew exactly what to do. It had to stop. And so the world did not know how far they were. And then, hey, how naive. The whole time I had been warning with the Democrat administrations that they, by providing $6 billion, billions and billions of dollars to pay off Iran, that's not the way to do it, because indeed, Iran never stopped trying to develop an intercontinental ballistic missile. They claim, Ann, that they were trying to do space research. Come on, and no, they were trying to develop a missile to hit the United States. And then it's really sad. Our European allies should have figured out that if you could hit the United States, they already had a capability to hit Sofia, Bulgaria, or Rome, Italy, or and then we found out that's even worse. They could hit Paris and Berlin and Madrid.
Sure. But futuristically, I'm interested in futuristically, because I think there's been a lot of conversation about this. They have really another week to put this together. Do you think, I thought this was a horrific picture when the Iran had all their people standing around the bridges, the power plants, all these type of things. Do you really think that President Trump, if this doesn't come to pass, will carry out his threat to bomb the crap out of it and finish Iran off?
I really do. And then we need to keep in mind, too, that the internal communications capabilities are gone. And I've had, so even with regrouping, the capability of their regrouping is so handicapped. And the beginning of the handicap, and I loved, I was with several generals, over this week I was at Fort Jackson, I was with different generals in Aiken and military officials all over the district, and I have asked each one of them, I said, have you ever heard of a conflict beginning by the extermination and vaporization of the leadership of our enemy in the first 30 seconds? And none of them have, and that's what happened. And of course, then the liberal media said that was very rude, that we should have given them notice. And then we had our European allies said, "Why didn't you tell us beforehand?"
Sure.
Well, there's a good reason, okay? And the president made it clear. Somewhat awkwardly with the Prime Minister of Japan, that surprise does have an effect.
Right, exactly.
We found that out December the 7th, okay?
Sure. So, but what do you, so we've got this going on. So you seem to think, if I'm interpreting this correctly, that we have an opportunity to actually bring Iran into the fold. Do you think, my next question though is, how will the people be able to rise up? I mean, they want to rise up. We hear all this about yes, the U.S. continue, but do they really have the ability to rise up, Joe, without the U.S. on the ground?
Yes, they do. And we have the Syria example. And who would ever imagine? I'm really grateful and honored. A year ago, November, I was identified correctly by the Assad dictatorship of Syria as an enemy of the state. And then 3 weeks later, he fled to Moscow. And so out of the blue, the people of Syria arose and actually, due to sanctions and other reasons, they actually overthrew a 54-year dictatorship, which had killed 500,000 people in Syria, murdered 500,000 people. Well, now that government has been replaced with a new government, al-Shara, and President Trump met with the new president of Syria in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and proclaimed, give Syria a chance. And he did. And I ended up in this August, I was in President Assad's office with the new president, al-Shara, in Damascus, Syria. What a miracle, Ann. And I was there. It was bipartisan with Senator Jane Shaheen of New Hampshire and President Trump's envoy, Ambassador Tom Barrack. And so there we were in the world's oldest city with a new president. And then flash forward 2 months ago, I was grateful to be with President al-Shara the day for dinner before he had a meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office. It was the first time in 250 years that a leader of Syria has ever met with the President of the United States in the Oval Office. And I like to put it in the context of another country, and that is it's the first time in 8,000 years that someone from Syria, a leader of Syria, has met with the President of the United States in the Oval Office. And so that's why I'm optimistic. And so the example of Syria, indeed, and hey, we have other examples. Remember the excitement for the people of Romania that Nicolae Ceausescu and his wife Elena were addressing the people, and the people actually turned on them, and they were executed later that afternoon. And so I'm just really confident that the people of Iran, and we have another remarkable resource they have is the Iranian American community is very well educated, very well connected back into the country. Unlike, say, Iraq, Iran has always been an open country. They have cell phone capability. Until recently, they had full internet, which for a dictatorship is very unusual. But in the meantime, the people know better, particularly the young people.
Right. So, how do you personally see this ending with Iran? How do you think this is going to come together?
I see it, and again, the example of Syria, and that is the 54-year, now this is a 47-year dictatorship will be terminated by the people of the country, and it will not require boots on the ground. And then from that, we will be working with the new government to completely eliminate the nuclear capability, to completely remove the enriched uranium, and the Straits of Hormuz will be open, and then will also, I think it will open the door for what President has achieved in the past in the Abraham Accords, where countries throughout the Arab world established a relationship with Israel to reduce the conflicts that have been caused by puppets of Iran, financed by Iran, of Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthi. And so, and hey, this is going to liberate Lebanon, and it's going to liberate, and unsaid, so many people who are listening have had family with all the National Guard units in the region that you serve, CSRA,
sure, absolutely,
and, who served in Iraq. And sadly, the Iraqi government has come under the influence of the Iranian dictatorship. Well, that once the dictatorship's gone, then the people of Iraq can actually finally be liberated. And so the ripple effect of liberation of Lebanon, not just Iran, but indeed the liberation of Lebanon with the removal of Hezbollah, the liberation of Yemen by removing the Houthis, and then indeed, it's no surprise, Iran was trying to overthrow the al-Shara government of Syria. And then there's another consequence, and that you're going to really like, and that is the only Russian naval base in the Mediterranean is located in Syria. And also the logistics air base of Russia to maintain their dictatorships in Africa is in Syria. And I am confident that without an Iranian influence, that Syria now will be able to remove those bases. And so Russia and War Colonel Putin will be further handicapped from trying to cause disturbances anywhere in the world.
So what effect has this conflict, do you think, with Putin and the Ukraine war? Do you think it is getting Putin possibly to rethink what he's doing or not?
He should, but he's not. And this one,
Yeah.
and hey, that it's really interesting. And actually, somebody convinced me. I didn't really think about it, and that is, Putin is so much into trying to exterminate and Ukraine as he's trying to resurrect the Soviet Union.
Sure.
And so there are oligarchs around him, multi-billionaires around him, who benefit from trying to recreate the Soviet Union by annexing Belarus, Moldova, the rigged elections in the Republic of Georgia, over and over again. And so, but these oligarchs are quote supporting Putin, but actually Putin is a hostage, and that is that if he does not do what they ask, he will be removed.
Sure.
And so it's irrational. It's irrational what he's doing, losing tens of thousands of troops, sacrificing tens of thousands of troops every month. And then to the credit of the Ukrainians, they actually were planning. I was in Kyiv, Ukraine, before the invasion, and all of their planning was for resistance and guerrilla warfare. Well, no, 4 years later, they are holding back the Russian military forces, and then even better, they have developed drone capability, which they provided to our allies in the Gulf region. Also, their drone capability has truly crippled the ability of Russia to conduct the war they have. And it's also, just as we learned from, sadly, real world, the attacks on Israel over the years, and we learned how to have a anti-missile capability, we are learning from our Ukrainian friends how to conduct drone warfare. And
well, that's true. They have said that. So, but let me ask you something, because I know this is going to be coming up. War, of course, is very expensive, and I know they have already asked for increase in their budget. Joe, you sit on those committees that are looking at our war, or the different aspects of it. How difficult, or where do you stand on what the military needs to continue and this additional funding?
What we need to do, again, is peace through strength. And by achieving peace through strength, what we've done is, and there should be better credit given, actually, and President Trump actually embarrassed NATO to have 2% GDP
right.
Into the military. Well, he's even done better. This time he's going to move it to 5%, and this time, grudgingly, they actually know what he said. And the mainstream media said he was against NATO. No, he wasn't against NATO. He was for NATO countries doing their part to strengthen NATO.
Well,
and they
bringing
are.
that up,
And
haven't you been disappointed? Haven't you been disappointed in the response of Europe when?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hey, I can't wait to go to defense meetings, which I go to, and remind them that not only was it inappropriate that they didn't support us to stop Iran from having a nuclear capability, but they put American lives at risk when they denied flyover. They didn't put American lives at risk when they didn't give landing rights. And this is a really just a insult to anything we would ever be doing. And they should now see these ICBMs, as I mentioned to you, could reach all the capitals of Europe. And that was one of the plans. And it could also reach New Delhi, India. I mean, Islamabad, Pakistan. And then everybody on Earth was at risk with a nuclear capability of a regime which was
Sure.
ideologically driven for death. And death to America, death to Israel.
Sure. But what do you think about the funding? Do you think that funding will be able to get through Congress and through the Senate?
Yes, I do. Now, the sad thing is, and this shouldn't be, Ann, but there is Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And whatever the president's for, they're against. And
Right.
One of my favorite people is Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. He has said that a way to handle this is President Trump needs to announce that he is for breathing. and then the Democrats would all stop breathing,
Right.
and so that would then that would resolve
I
the
like
issues
John
we have.
Kennedy. He is a hoot. He has some of the greatest phrases out there. So,
Well, that was one of the best.
yeah, yeah, and I don't have a lot of time. We're almost out of time, but curiously, this thing with the shutdown and the Senate throwing that bill back at you to approve, and then y'all threw yours back over there to the Senate. When is this going to end? I mean, thank goodness President Trump went ahead and paid the TSA so that things would calm down, but where does this end? Because neither side on the Democratic side seems willing to give an inch. So are the Republicans going to give in? How is this shutdown going to end?
Well, I'm very concerned because it was totally irresponsible and to begin with. But people need to know the Democrats have a Trump derangement syndrome, and as the former president myself of the Mental Health Association, I see sadly people I know and are acting irrationally because when they see the word illegal alien, they're thinking new voter. When you hear the word migrant, they're thinking of new voter. When you hear rapist and murderer coming into the country, they're thinking no, new voter. And so they're obsessed with new voters. And so they're acting irrationally, they're acting irresponsibly. But again,
but how do the members of Congress? How do the members of Congress come together here to finish the funding bill so we can move on? Shoot, the way you're going, it'll be September before they ever do it, and then it'll be time for a new budget. Come on, Joe, what's going on?
Hey, how could you be so correct? Anyway, no, but hey, and sadly, I'm really concerned that there will be a level of capitulation, but the capitulation is in the interest of the American people. I have faith in Speaker Mike Johnson. He is. Remember, the greatest criticism of him by the Democrats was that he was a Christian, and the thought of having a practicing Christian Speaker of the House is just unthought. It just was horrifying to them. But the bottom line, I have faith in Mike Johnson, and ultimately I have faith in Senator John Thune. And but everything is irrational because the Democrats are so obsessed with bringing in millions and millions of new voters.
But I mean that is a point. But I think the real point is how does Congress become effective in solving problems? And the problem that you have right now is, I guess you're taking money from somewhere else to pay the TSA. How do we get the money in the right bucket so they have the security, the TSA knows that, and which is security for our country? How do we get that resolved? I think you go back next week, right, to when you have supposed to be voting on something?
Mm-hmm. Tuesday. And so we'll be back on Tuesday. This has been the Easter break and also the Passover break. And so, but the bottom line is we'll be back Tuesday. I'm confident we'll act right away. And then equally, I appreciate the President's courage of executive orders to come in at appropriate times to address the crises we have. And then I so appreciate the TSA personnel. I thank them every time I go through because with the open borders the Democrats had, I visited our National Guard troops from the Greenwood area at the border in Texas, and it was really 5 years ago. And I asked how many terrorists had crossed on the border, and the Border Patrol agents told me they were not allowed to tell me. And so that we've got people in our country who are trained mass murderers, and we need TSA.
Yeah, absolutely. So with everything happening right now, Joe, we've got Iran, Ukraine, border security. What should people here in South Carolina be paying the closest attention to?
Well, to me, they're all so interconnected, and but we can also rejoice. Okay, today we all recognize Artemis is returning from the furthest flight in world history around the moon. And so America can chew gum and walk at the same time. And that's why we can focus on whether it be Latin America or Middle East or Europe or Asia, and what a message is being sent to the Chinese Communist Party. And we've got to understand they're conducting the largest military buildup in the history of the world. And so, but we can keep our eye on all of them, and we've got a president and we've got a Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, that we can count on.
Yes, absolutely. So I know that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Alan Wilson, your son, who is our South Carolina Attorney General, is running for governor for the great state of South Carolina. And what has it been like for you to watch him run this race? And are you giving him advice? That's what I want to know.
Well, Ann, thank you so much. But my wife Roxanne and I are so grateful for Alan's success, and it was on his own. I still run into people every day that say, "Hey, I didn't know Alan was your son." And, indeed, he has conducted the campaign based on his. He's the longest-serving Attorney General of the United States. He's one of the founders of the Republican Attorney Generals Association. He has a proven record of promises made, promises kept, of supporting the people of South Carolina. I'm really grateful that he's been, as the chief prosecutor, he's been endorsed by 24 Republican sheriffs. That's 80% of Republican sheriffs. A majority of sheriffs of the state of South Carolina have endorsed Alan for election as governor, knowing that he will follow through. And so I'm just so grateful for his success and what he means to, with his background, his military background, serving in Iraq for a year, field artillery, and then coming back. Hey, what he did, okay, you can appreciate this. And he likes news media so much that his wife is Jennifer Miskowitz, who used to be on WIS television in Columbia. And so
he likes news so much he married a news gal. I like it. And
then I love to point out to the ambassador from Poland. I said, hey, our family is so happy about the liberation of Central and Eastern Europe and over communism that my oldest son Alan married a Polish American. And so just over and over again, I'm so proud of Alan's success, but it's on his own, and it's just very.
I just wondered if you were giving him any advice, any pointers, since you've been in Congress. In fact, you're up for re-election this year, right?
Yes, I have two opponents in the primary. I've always had opponents, which I understand. It's the people's position, and then in November, there are 4 Democrats lined up and 1 Workers' Party in the race I'm in. And so I've got a primary June the 9th, and then so important to everyone listening is that we have the primary on June the 9th, and then on 2 weeks later, you must get 50% of the vote. There will be a runoff on the 23rd. But again, I'm very grateful for Alan. He's actually run statewide in South Carolina 9 times, 3 times primary runoff and general the first time, and then primary and general 3 successive times. And so he's proven himself to the people of South Carolina, and he's the only candidate who's had his name on the ballot 9 times in South Carolina.
Well, there you go. Well, Representative Joe Wilson, thank you so much for calling in this morning. And you keep watching what's happening up there, and I'll have you back on, and we'll talk about it some more.
Well, Ann, as you can tell, I am really actually very optimistic. We have a great leader with President Donald Trump. He is somewhat unique, but he is actually achieving. He will ultimately achieve peace through strength, and we're trying to get that message out, and you're helping so much, and talk radio makes a difference. So best wishes to you, and just God bless America.
That's right. Thank you so much, Representative Joe Wilson. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Hey, best wishes to you. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Well, let's see. Let's put Penny on the screen. Let's see what Penny's doing this morning. I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. We had Congressman Joe Wilson on. I think the problem with Joe is he has so much experience in so many different levels, and he's seen a lot of this that we end up getting a lot of from the past, from the present, and so that's just the way it is with Joe, but he does have a lot of perspective on it. Penny, what does Penny have to say today? Penny thinks, what does Penny think? Penny thinks that if it's not about her, it's just not worth talking about. That's what Penny thinks. She's getting up now. She's saying, if you're going to talk about something more interesting today, well, I would like to be interested. Are you interested now, Penny? That's right. We even got your title up there, Princess Penny. That's right. So I am Ann Eller. We have had quite a conversation. Now she's laying down. Boring. There you go. All right. Last night there certainly was, the art walk was going on. That was a very, very cool event for sure. There was a lot of people out uptown. The Petty Rewind was a success. I'm just glad that everybody had a good time. I went over yesterday afternoon over to the G. Frank Russell Center, and I hope you got to see maybe on Facebook, on my Facebook page, Ann Eller. I did post a little video that I did. We did a live video before, and then this morning I posted a bunch of videos and pictures that they have over there at the G. Frank Russell Center. Oh my gosh, what a fabulous, fabulous place for our young people to be able to help them decide, is this a career path they're looking for? Is it just something that they find interesting? That's what I think is so neat about what they do over there. When I was there weren't many students there, but I have been invited back because I think I did a good job. I have been invited back to go check out more, come to some of the classes. You know, the lunchbox, the Chef Hancock, Jay's group is doing a lunchbox event coming up, a fundraiser. The first one will be on the 20th, April 20th. Then it's the 27th. And then I think May 11th will be a third one. 3 different restaurants will be leading the charge. They split the money that they get. But I'm going to tell you what, to go inside that food truck that they have and see that their maintenance department actually put it all together. They were getting such outlandish costs for buying one already made up. They got the trailer, and then the maintenance department, they bought all the pieces, and then the maintenance department put it all together. I thought that was fantastic. There's quite a video on that post that I did. So make sure if you've got some time, check it out. That is Ann Eller, E-L-L-E-R, Ann with an E, Ann with an E. So that was a lot of fun to do yesterday afternoon. Of course, yesterday morning we had Justin Aiken on talking about the goats, the Dancing Goats Festival. Tomorrow morning I'm doing a show. I'm going to do a show. We may cut it short a little bit because I think I want to get up there for the Dancing Goats, because I need to be up there to report on the parade and the beauty pageant. Wouldn't you like to know how that's going to go if you're not going to be able to get up there? I highly hope you get up there. But I plan to capture it on video and just have a fun day with that. But they're doing a great job of promoting it, and I certainly hope it's going to go well. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day for it. Not only that, what else do I have? Oh, tomorrow afternoon, starting at 3 p.m., is the Jeep event out there at the old farmers market. They're going to be set up there with Jeeps and more Jeeps. They're going to have all kinds of great things going on, great music, opportunities. This is all to help Special Olympics with the torch run that they'll be doing to raise more funds for our Special Olympians. So I think that's terrific. That'll be going on from 3 to 8. Plan to try to get by and see that too. But there is a lot going on, as there always seems to be right here in Greenwood. So make sure that you stay tuned right here. We'll be sure to tell you more about it. One of the things I did want to talk about real quick is the steel signing that they had out there at Piedmont Tech. I wish I'd been out there for that. I would have liked to have been just to be able to see it. Well, if they'd asked me to sign, I might have. But no, I didn't want to do that. I just really wanted to see it because they had the students and staff, Rivers, Hope Rivers signed it. All these people signed it, and then all students signed it too. And then they hoisted that big steel beam up and placed it in place to mark the construction milestone of the healthcare center that they are building out there. So that was pretty. I think that was pretty darn neat, and what a great idea to. Everybody always does a handprint, a footprint, a dog print when they're doing concrete and everything. But to sign the beam that was going across the top floor, that was pretty darn cool. So those are some of the things that I know about. Do want to remind you, coming up on Monday, we will be doing a special pop-up interview with Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett. It will be live on Facebook, live in studio. This will actually be the first time that the Lieutenant Governor has come to my studio. In how many years? 5 or 6 years? This is amazing. Anyway, she'll be in studio 4:30 to 5:30. We'll be talking her run, of course, for the governorship of the great state of South Carolina. I invite you to put that on your calendar. Make sure you know about it. 4:30 to 5:30 right here on WCRS. Then she will be going to the GOP for their meeting there. So that's pretty big. I think that's pretty big, and I'm pretty excited. I'm going to ask her a lot of questions about her run for the governorship. And of course, I always invite you, if you have a question for the Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evett, running for governor, please let me know in advance. That's right. You can always go to 864-332-9355, 864-332-9355. So that will be an interesting interview for sure. Hope I can get some good information about it. And somebody just asked me, are you going to ask her why she wasn't there? No or yes. Yes or no. It kind of depends how it goes. I do have some background information on that, so I do want to be able to share that too. So we'll look forward to finding out all the nitty-gritty with Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett. And of course, as always, I need your help to be able to ferret all the information out so we can have a good time making sure that everybody knows. Because, it really is important to make an informed decision. And if there's one thing that debate showed me down there in Newberry, that we need to find the best candidate. All the candidates that were on the, the debate floor, and now Pamela Evett was not there and Ron Reddy was not there, but all the candidates that were there, subtle differences, not major differences. A candidate that a candidate that I thought, hell no. Really conducted herself with great aplomb and is actually working, I think, has a plan, and maybe in some aspects is the reason she keeps staying at the head of the pack is because she is ready. So we're working on getting Nancy Mace on the show with us, hopefully in studio, to really have a great discussion. I can always do telephone interviews. I used to not like them. Now it's just like, well, it's just part of what you have to do, Ann. But I really prefer in-house, in-studio, or at a location where I can sit down and look at somebody across from the table and have a real conversation. So we'll see. We're working on Nancy Mace. We, of course, have had Alan Wilson. Pamela Evatt will be with us. And we're working on the other candidates, too. Ralph Norman has done a telephone interview, working on having him in studio. So all of these are coming together. It's a short period of time, but it is coming together quite rapidly. All right, I tell you what, I am. Penny has a play date. She's going out to play today. She doesn't know it, but she's going out to play, and I will have some freedom. I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm going to have some freedom. Anyways, I'm looking forward to it. Penny, what do you have to say about all this? What? You have freedom? I don't think I want you to have freedom. You're supposed to spend all your time with me. Well, if I'm having a better time than you, that's all that matters. Okay. All right, Penny. That's what I got to say today. We're going to cut it short here this morning because I got places to be and things to happen. But I sure appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you listening with our very special guest today, Congressman Joe Wilson. And have a great day. Join me tomorrow morning right here on WCRS. And we will have a music show, classic country and blues, put together for you. By the way, yesterday afternoon, I had Brenda Feast, the executive director of the Women's Center. She wanted me to make sure that everybody knew that there are still tickets available. You can go right there from there. You can go to Eventbrite and just put in Tim Tebow, and it should come right up. It would be under the Women's Center for right here in Greenwood. But if you don't get your tickets, she wanted me to make sure you knew, you could buy tickets at the event. The event is coming up this coming Thursday, right there at Lander University Phineas Horn Arena. So that's a huge event that Tim Tebow is coming right here to. What do you got to say here? Right here to Greenwood. That's going to do it for us. Penny goes, it's time to go. I need my breakfast. All right, everybody, put the curtain down. Have a great day. This is WCRS Radio. Let's see if I can cue the music here. There we go. Bye-bye, everybody.